We good? Good morning. Welcome in to the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. And this interview is brought to you by Starkville, Mississippi, Mississippi's college town. Enjoy some basketball and baseball this winter, spring, and all the cool restaurants that they have open, including Older Brother, the new bistro that is the sister restaurant to Two Brothers. Fantastic place. I highly recommend the Reuben and the deviled eggs appetizer. We talked about this about an hour ago. Breaking news. Jim Ellis, longtime Hail State, Mississippi State broadcaster, after 46 years is retiring. And we thought we would track down Jeff Brantley, one of the best baseball players to ever play at Mississippi State. Hell of a career, MLB, and of course, broadcasting career with ESPN and the Cincinnati Reds, who has known Jim Ellis a long, long time. So we welcome in Jeff Brantley on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Jeff Brantley, good morning. How are you?
I'm good, Bo. How are you?
I'm doing well. Do you remember the first time you either met Jim Ellis or sat down with an interview with Jim Ellis, Jeff?
Oh, yeah. I remember all of those times. Being in that same business as Jim now, fast forward so many years afterwards, you think to yourself, there are people that are Mississippi State baseball fans, and the only voice that they've ever heard from Mississippi State baseball is Jim Ellis. And they could very well have kids of their own.
That's right. Yeah. Including me. No, that's all I ever remember, Jeff, is starting in about 1980, I remember life, and I remember Jim Ellis. And then you and Raffy Will and Thigpen set the state on fire. So, talk about he was always around y'all. He was such a professional. You've done it on TV and radio for a long time. So I know you have a lot of respect, and he called a lot of games by himself, Jeff, which is pretty amazing when you think about it.
Yeah, I think when you look at the history of Jim Ellis and you look at all of I think he's more of a pioneer in that sense of the word, simply because he created the Hail State Network. Not only for baseball, but he pushed it for football, for basketball, for everything. Trying to get baseball everywhere. And I think when you look back at Jim, at least from a player standpoint, he's a pro's pro. He did it the way you're supposed to do it. Very respectful of the players, very professional in how he went about it, very descriptive in how he described the game. But it's not an easy task to do that many ball games on a regular basis and be able to do both the descriptive color and still be able to handle the play-by-play. That's a tough task, and he handled it with ease.
He did. Jeff Brantley, all-star at the Major League Baseball level, All-American at Mississippi State, now with the Cincinnati Reds, joins us on the Out of Bounds show, and I think I think I can say this. I think Jim Ellis was the only guy to call your games while you were at Mississippi State in baseball. I think that's accurate.
Well, I could tell you this. I'm 61, and he's the only person I've ever heard call Mississippi State baseball. Now, I didn't grow up a Mississippi State baseball fan because I grew up in Alabama, but he's the only person I've ever heard. And that's kind of hard to get your head around.
I know. And he would call it like he would see it. I think Jim had this way, a delicate balance of, there were so many great players like you and many others and teams. But if the team wasn't playing well, he would let you know. And if the team was playing well, he would let you know. But it wasn't a Homer radio broadcast. In other words, and look, I have to critique and criticize my alma mater among other schools and coaches. It's the way it is. But I thought Jim didn't believe in Homer radio, and he called it like it was. And I think that was one of his talents, Jeff Brantley.
Yeah, I think you're right, Bo. I believe that Jim, he loved Mississippi State baseball, and I mean, he's a Mississippi State grad. But I think when you look at his calls, he was as professional as you could possibly get. I don't think that he ever hammered players. I think he was very fair in his criticism. He just described the action, whether it was good, bad, or sometimes it was ugly. But he made the description, and whether you were in your car or whether you were at home or whether you were at the game and listening to him at the same time, he helped you understand what exactly was going on the baseball field. And I think that's the job of any broadcaster, whether you're on television or radio.
I agree. Jeff Brantley on the Out of Bounds show. How long have you been with the Cincinnati Reds, Jeff? As a broadcaster?
As a broadcaster, this is kind of crazy for me to say, but I'm coming up on 20 years. So
wow.
Yeah, I know, man. I thought I played a long time.
I can't believe it's been 20 years. That's so cool. Jeff Brantley joining us on the Out of Bounds show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone, reminiscing about Jim Ellis, his 46-year career calling games at Mississippi State. So for our listeners, he called the Final Four. We've got him at 9 or 10 College World Series, okay, between Polk, Cohen, and Lamonis. 2 national championship series and a national championship. One of them they won. He called a Final Four and the 1998 SEC football championship game. I mean, Jeff, there's not many broadcasters in the SEC that called a Final Four, that many CWSs plus national championship games, and a SEC football championship game. He's either the only one or one of maybe 2. I'll have to find out here. But how cool is that he was able to call all those events and games?
I just think it's a testament to his excellence in his craft. I think anytime that you're able to do something at that level for 46 years, I mean, just think about that. 46 years doing anything consistently and being one of the best. That tells you a little bit about the person.
Yeah, it does. All right, so we're going to have to come up with the number of games that he was calling. I think Jeff Brantley made a great point at the beginning of the interview. Yeah, Jim was on. I mean, he did all these games, but he also made sure that the network grew over the years and sold advertising. And so he wore many, many hats for the network. All right, so what does it look like for you as far as when y'all get it dialed back up with the Cincinnati Reds, Jeff?
Well, I think as a baseball player and a broadcaster, if you're involved in the team concept, or if you're traveling with the team, however you want to describe that, Valentine's Day is always pretty much D-Day. The rest of the world is hearts and roses, and that's when we go back to work. I mean, you go back to spring training. I mean, I'm heading to Arizona right around then, and so is everybody else in the baseball world. You get started then, you're out in your spring training, whether it's Florida or Arizona, for 45 days, and then the 162 game schedule starts, and you're on the road and kind of going back and forth until you get to October, and you hope you're playing in October.
Wow, it'll be here before you know it. Hopefully we can get you in studio after the holidays and before you head out. Jeff Brantley, thanks so much for your time today. I know you'll be thinking about those memories at Mississippi State and Jim Ellis calling those games. Oh, real quick, did y'all go out, Jeff, do you remember, did y'all go out to Hawaii? I remember Ron Polk used to take his teams out every now and then to Hawaii for games. Yeah. Did you ever do that while you were at Mississippi State?
We went to Hawaii. That's when Gene Morgan threw his no-hitter against Hawaii Hilo.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Flying.
Yeah, that was a memory, because when we came back, it was the only series of the year that I can remember that we lost, because we came back and we flew directly into Auburn, and played a weekend series against Auburn. And the first game we lost 1-0, and I think the second game we lost like 2-1. And Gene and I, we didn't lose much that year, and we were like, wow, everybody's exhausted. I mean, that's a long flight, man. You don't think about how much that takes a toll on you until it happens.
Oh, I can't imagine jet lag going from playing in Hawaii to flying straight into Auburn to play a series. Wow. Jeff Brantley, currently with the Cincinnati Reds broadcast team, All-American at Mississippi State, and Jim Ellis called all his games. Jeff, thanks so much for your time today. We appreciate you. Merry Christmas to you and your family.
Thanks, Bo. We're going to miss Jim, man. We're going to miss him.
No doubt. Jeff Brantley on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line, a Hail State baseball great, and, of course, played for the Giants and the Reds, and now been with the Cincinnati Reds for 20 years, was with ESPN before that. He joined us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line.